Hey everyone. Well, this video started out as a vlog, but when I was looking back on the footage, I realized it's just been this drawing the entire time, so it turned into more of a time lapse, I will say. This is the first time I've tried to film a video where I'm drawing on my easel, and there are definite pros and cons to it. One of the cons, I won't get too in depth about it, because that's weird. But one of the cons is definitely that I forgot to turn my autofocus off on my camera. So you will see it shifting focuses quite a bit in this video, and I apologize for that. The other con, and something I will try to work on for next time, is that the camera was like table level instead of like higher, and so you see my hand a lot more than you see the materials. So things to work on. But the pro of this setup is that my neck and back were saved throughout this process, so hooray for that. I do not normally do charcoal work on my channel. It's a very time-consuming process, and so like take this piece for example of this adorable dog. His name is Gizmo. This took me about an hour and a half to value block first, and then about 2.5 hours to detail work. It's an 11 by 14 piece. So if I were to do a watercolor of this, not including dry times, because it depending on the fluid of water, but a fluid of water, but depending on how much water you use, it would take me maybe 30 minutes to do, like painting time. So the styles are very different. Charcoal work for me is a lot more technical than watercolor because of how I use them, not because of the mediums themselves, but because how I use them. And so it's just one of those things where it's never been a high priority for me to show charcoal work on YouTube. But that kind of leads us into today's topic. It's focused on social media platforms. And as always, I bring this as a topic of something I've noticed within myself and things that I see that I'm conflicted about, because I see other people doing something different, and kind of wanting to know your feedback on how you do it or the situation I'm facing right now. And I'm not, I don't tell people what to do, so I don't think I will ever have a do this, do not do this type of video. But just in case, if this is why you're here, this is not that type of video. I'm the last person to be giving advice on this. So for like the last maybe year and a half, I've been kind of going back and forth on what exactly I want to do medium wise, or I guess focus on how to brand myself. Am I a charcoal artist? Am I a watercolorist? And granted, I have been getting a lot more commissions, especially in January, for charcoal work. But the things that I enjoy more, I would say, is probably watercolor. I feel like I'm technically more evolved in charcoal, but I just like the free form of watercolor, at least in my style that I do. So it's like two halves of me battling it out for what's gonna happen. And so I've kind of noticed over my social media platforms that it's like on a tier level system, where like YouTube is maybe like the tier of my fun side, and it's kind of showcasing the things that maybe I wouldn't normally document or tell people, but it's like, hey, y'all know me. All you 100 and some people out there. But it's just kind of where I like to goof around and experiment with different stuff, and I don't feel pressured. I'll say it that way. I don't feel pressured to perform or to do something a certain way. Instagram is completely different, where I show mostly just my technical work. And so it's a lot of pet portraits as of late. It's a lot of portraits, more my fan art type of stuff. And that's actually where I did showcase all of my Inktober from last year as well. So it's kind of different. Like it's both very different. And then my Facebook, especially my personal account, is where I gain the most feedback. That's where a lot more discussion happens. And it's kind of where a lot more of my commissions and my oh my gosh, what's it called? Print sales. Wow. And my print sales happen. So it's actually more of a money generator for me than any other platform of mine, which is kind of weird. But I have a very strong support system on Facebook. It's kind of like my safe spot, if you will. So when I post something, I have different expectations for each platform. I don't expect the same results from YouTube that I would from my Facebook. And I guess I want to throw it out there. Like, is it the chicken or the egg? Did I create something where I pressure myself? Or is society and branding telling us we have to be consistent? We have to always have our audience know what they're going to get when they follow our first video, like film or photo on Instagram. Like, and I even notice it within myself too. Sometimes I'll be scrolling through my feed on Instagram and I'll see a photo. And I'm like, what is this? Who is this? And once I click on their profile and see the rest of their feed, I'm like, oh yeah, that's who this is. That's why I followed them. But I don't remember until I click on their profile. So I mean, I do it too, and I get that. I get the consistency. But is it to a point where we completely stifle ourselves as creators? And so I just want to throw out there, like, what do you do? Like, if you used to do that, how did you combat that? And if you still do it, you know, let's form a support group and we'll get like matching jackets or something. Anyway, I digress. I'll be interested to hear your comments below though. So a little update about me and my life, as it's been a little weird. January was my first month, as most of you know, that I went part-time freelance. And I had it completely set up in my mind different. And I know that saying, like, try to plan something and God will laugh at you. Or I can't remember the exact phrase, but that's the gist. And I felt like that was my entire January. I had all these plans. I had everything set up in December for it to go smoothly. And then, as most of you have heard, I was wanted for arrest in Rhode Island, a place I had never been to. And so that took weeks and money, things I was not knowing I was going to need expenses for. And it took a lot of time to figure that out. And then some of you have asked, which is really sweet, some of you have asked if I was able to start that part-time job where all this hullabaloo started. And I've not been able to start that. And there comes a point in time where you just kind of have to, like, let it go. Like, man, you know, I put in all this energy and time and effort and money and it still isn't panning out. So maybe it wasn't for me. Maybe this was not the path I was supposed to take. So you just quit. You quit going down that path. So I've been researching other opportunities. I've run into some roadblocks though, and it's been interesting because professionally, I've not been rejected that many times. So it's been a really rude awakening for me to kind of go back into the process of all this again. And I guess it's like also managing everyone's expectations on what they want out of me as an employee and what I want out of them as a company. Because I've got to tell you, I'm not looking for professional growth at this point. Like, I want a job where I can go in and I can do my job and I'll do it well, and then I'll leave and then I can focus on my art. That's the whole purpose of this process for me. It's not to become full-time. It's not to move up the corporate ladder. I want to get in, do it, and get out. That sounds really bad now that I just said that. And that's how we're going to leave this video. I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next Monday. Bye.